The Michigan Wolverines announced yesterday Juwan Howard will be their next basketball coach. And in the past, schools hiring former star players hasn't always worked out. Clyde Drexler didn't go well at Houston. Chris Mullen didn't go well at St. John's. That doesn't stop schools from trying. Patrick Ewing, currently at Georgetown. Penny Hardaway has made a big splash at Memphis. And now Juwan Howard joins that list. And he takes over a really good Michigan program. It was a really good program in the hands of John Beilein. But Howard has serious coaching chops. You know, he's been an assistant coach for quite some time. In fact, the latter part of his career, most people thought he was a player assistant coach. And he was with the Miami Heat, under consideration for a couple of head coaching jobs in the NBA. And now he's back at a school where he helped transform the sport of college basketball as part of the Fab Five. Part of the fabric of the program, and even though a lot has changed in college basketball, I'm eager to see how he does in this new assignment in a very familiar place. And I mentioned some of these names. You know, we're rooting for Patrick Ewing to do well at Georgetown. Clyde Drexler didn't do well. Chris Mullen decided to step down at St. John's, his alma mater. Avery Johnson at Alabama. He had one NCAA tournament visit, 3 NIT visits. He was fired after 4 years. Chris Mullen, one tournament, and he resigned after 4 seasons. Isaiah Thomas fired after 3 seasons. You even forget, he was at Florida International. Do you remember that? He won 26 games there in his career. Mike Dunleavy Sr. at Tulane, fired after 3 seasons. Reggie Theus, Cal State Northridge, fired after 5 seasons. Mark Price at Charlotte, he was fired 9 games into his 3rd season. Kevin Ollie at Connecticut, fired after 4 seasons. Danny Manning's at Wake Forest, and he might have a hard time keeping his job there as well. You have some royalty there in college basketball going back to the game. And I also wonder this. The game is all about guards now. It's all about three-point shooting. Does that hurt, at least in the perception of, can you have a big man as a head coach? Now, I'm just talking perception, not the reality. Because you can look at Patrick Ewing, although there might be a bias against height when it comes to coaching. Because how many big men have been named head coaches? You know, Patrick Ewing talked about that he thinks if, maybe he was, 6'4", 6'5", that maybe he would have gotten a better chance sooner. He's a 7-footer. How many 7-footers, 6'11", 6'10", those guys get those opportunities to be a head coach now? The game is about guards. And I would, if I'm a college athletic director or I'm a general manager of an NBA team, I would seriously look at that and say, do you understand the concepts of what is going on with guard play, the perimeter play? What is your take on that? Because that's the first thing I'd want to know with Juwan Howard is, where do you see this program evolving? What are we lacking in here, aside from some star power? Because Michigan, as great as that program has been, they haven't had star power in basketball. The Fab Five, great. I mean, you had 2 really, really stars in, Jalen Rose and Chris Webber. And Juwan Howard was highly recruited coming out of high school as well. But, now the game has evolved into everybody shooting threes. And in the NBA, you used to be a specialist. And three-point shooters were specialists. Craig Hodges, Steve Kerr, John Paxson, they were specialists. They came in to shoot a 3. You didn't have them out on the floor the whole game. But now you have to be out on the floor. You're playing the entire game. Steph Curry's a specialist, the best specialist we've ever had at that position, but he's also one of the best players we've ever had. And it's changed considerably. And, you're trying to recruit kids to be able to play that style. They've moved the three-point shot back in college basketball to the international level. Now, you may go, well, it's not that far back. Yes, it is. It can be for the guy who is just trying to move his range out a little bit. The guy who can shoot no matter what. It's the guy who thinks he can shoot or is trying to shoot or trying to add that to his game. But Juwan Howard going into this situation, I like the hire because now Michigan has a former college player as their head coach, and they have a former college football player as their head coach, both at Michigan. I don't know if any other school in America can say that you do reinvest in those people who help bring you to prominence. Now, Brady Hoke did not deserve to be and shouldn't have been the head coach at Michigan. So sometimes it does backfire on you. Will it backfire on Georgetown the way it did with St. John's or Houston with Clyde Drexler? Juwan Howard has a pedigree of coaching, and even when he wasn't playing at the end of his career, there was a feeling that he was absorbing everything you needed to absorb, but it was on the NBA level. But college basketball and the NBA are sort of converging. You know, you have that with college football and the NFL. They're converging, and you start to see similar styles and patterns. You were successful in college at that position. We can make you successful here. Terminology in college, we're going to use that in the NFL. You're seeing that. So they're starting to blend, mesh a little bit more. But Juwan Howard getting the call, I'm rooting for him. I'm glad that he got a head coaching position.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.